Do you sometimes feel like you're going through the motions before you compete and don't have the energy you need to perform your best? Hi, I'm Dr. Patrick Cohn, a mental performance coach at Peak Performance Sports. Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Psychology Podcast. Today in this video, I'm going to answer a question from Darcy, who wants to know if she needs to get more intensity or get more psyched up before competition. Before I answer the question, please like this video, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we have new videos. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe now. Here's the question I received from Darcy. She said, I sometimes feel as if I'm going through the motions before games and not really fully ready to compete. I think I need to get more up for the game to perform better. How can I get myself hyped up before a game? Darcy, great question. You do want to be at the right level of intensity or arousal. I don't use the term arousal with my athletes, but that's what they call it in the sports psychology literature. So higher intensity is going to help you perform better because it's going to help you activate your mind and focus better. So the higher your intensity, the better you're going to perform because you're going to be more focused. However, if you're too pumped up, if you're overexcited, if you're anxious, if you're worried, then that's not going to help you at all. So there's an optimal level of intensity for every athlete. And you can determine that based upon past performances. When you were going through the motions versus when you had very high level of energy before competition. Now, once you know that, then you've got to practice getting into that mental state of high intensity. Now, there's two things that I know will create more intensity for athletes. Number one is getting physically activated. So, for example, you'll see tennis players, they do jump rope, or you'll see hockey players will skate around and do some laps before the start of the game. You see that all the time. Football players doing sprints down the field. They're getting the intensity up in their warm-up so that they're fully ready. I recommend if you have to wait 20 minutes or longer for the competition to start, then you have to restart that intensity, restart your engine. I remember when my daughter played tennis and I went and I took her to, say, an 8 a.m. match over at Daytona Beach, right? Where we have to get up pretty early to get over there and warm up. When she was warming up, she was going through the motions. She wasn't activated yet. And her performance suffered in the warm-up and she would stress out. And I would tell her, look, it's just a warm-up. Don't worry about the warm-up. Let's do some sprints before you go to your first match and get the intensity up. And that seemed to help her quite a bit because once she went to the match, her performance was fine. But there's another factor too, is when you get into competition, the adrenaline from competing is naturally going to raise your intensity level. I was working with one of my clients who happens to be in rodeo and he does bull riding. Yeah, bull riding. He says, I feel puffed before and I don't feel like I'm ready. Well, what's puff, right? I don't know the terminology. And he says, well, puff means I don't have the energy. I feel kind of lethargic. What should I do? And I said, well, you definitely need to get that intensity up before you get onto that bull. Because number one, that's dangerous. And number two, you're going to focus better and perform better. So back to my original issue is if you cool down for 20 minutes or longer, get the intensity back up by doing some jump rope, some jogging in place, some sprinting, anything that'll get the intensity up. Now, the other factor I haven't talked about is mental intensity. So mental intensity really comes from challenge. If you're bored out there and you don't feel challenged, that's not going to help you rise to the occasion. So Dr. Csikszentmihalyi, the author of Flow, would say that, your ideal level of intensity is somewhere between boredom and anxiety, really broad, right? To get into the flow channel, as he said, you have to have this challenge, but also feel like you can meet the challenge. So if you're not challenged, you're way better than most of the athletes you compete against, then you need to find a challenge. You need to find a game within the game that's going to help you feel more up, more challenged, more ready. So those are the two things I recommend to get up. Get the intensity up by physical activation before you compete, just simply getting the heart rate up. You do that in your warm-up naturally, I assume, and then create a challenge or objective for you personally before you go into the game so that you feel challenged, you feel ready to compete. Hope that was helpful. If you want more information, jump over to peaksports.com, and there you can get videos, articles, podcasts, whatever you need. Lots of free stuff over at peaksports.com. And if you want the premium approach, then you contact us and we'll give you information about our one-on-one mental training program. We work with very young athletes, 12, 13, 14 and up, and we work with collegiates and professional athletes as well. Thanks for watching.